Hi guys, Rob here, and today I'm coming from Jpark Resort here in Cebu. Now I did come here in September and now I'm back here in December, and I'm going to show you the difference between now and then, and it's pretty indicative of how tourism is faring here in the Philippines. So let's get to it. So with this resort, it's a great example of how I can show you the effects of the lack of international tourists here in the Philippines and how it has affected the tourism industry. So primarily this was aimed at the Korean market. 70% of the guests here were Korean. That was prior to the pandemic, and they've lost that huge chunk of people. Locals just can't make up that huge chunk. Not only that, there's a secondary industry which has been affected as well, and I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm outside of Jpark and I just wanted to show you how much the Korean market means to this area. Over there you can see the Korean grocery store, souvenirs with money changer. There's another money changer over there. There's some more Korean restaurants up there. If you ask any taxi driver to take you to Koreatown, they'll take you along this strip here. There's so many, or used to be so many Koreans that used to roam around here. Obviously a lot came from Jpark. I'm just going to take you further down the road here so I can show you better, but all these businesses are suffering due to the lack of tourists here. There's another Korean mart place over there. Over here is Korean grill and soup. There's a Korean travel agent. I don't even know what that is. So the Korean market is just huge here, or was huge. So I just interviewed the lady in here. She didn't want to be on camera, but she said her sales are down by more than 80% here. Also in this shopping plaza, there's a number of Korean restaurants. Some are closed temporarily, some are still open, but when you go in there, there's hardly any customers there. So I'm just out the front of Jpark with the tricycle drivers here. So they've also been affected by this pandemic. How have you been affected by this?
Because now before I'm working tourist guide. I do hopping, wheelchair tour.
And that's
but now I drive tricycle because of coronavirus.
And that's all gone, all your business is gone. So
I get money almost 400 or 300, not same.
What did you used to get?
I make money a lot.
Lot more money than now.
Yeah.
So now you had to get into the tricycle business.
Yes.
Because all the tour guiding's gone for the moment anyway, temporarily. So also souvenir shops like this place, some of their products that they sell, the food products, have now expired because no one's buying the stuff, so they just have to throw out stuff, which is unfortunate. So this coffee and bread place is temporarily closed as well because of the quarantine. So it makes sense that the local government here in Lapu-Lapu is trying to set up a travel bubble with South Korea, the biggest market. So they have been working on a travel corridor between South Korea and Lapu-Lapu City in Cebu. Basically, a special flight from South Korea with a controlled itinerary, where the only travel that the tourists could do would be confined to Lapu-Lapu City. And just now, South Korea has had a new spike in cases, and they're actually clamping down on the country. And with the graph here, you can see that the numbers of COVID-19 cases have dramatically increased in the last week. It goes to show how problematic this coronavirus is. You know, one day a place is safe, then another day it's out of control with a number of cases. Would you want to be traveling? I mean, if you've got a family with young kids, would you want to be traveling? And then, you know, suddenly you'd be caught in an outbreak of a new pandemic somewhere. It's kind of difficult. It kind of makes me think that, you know, it's a little bit too early to be thinking about traveling. And I think that's particularly the case with the Philippines. It's going to be a while before you can travel back to the Philippines. And they also look like they're targeting travel corridors with nearby Asian countries first. And I'll show you a bit more news on that later in the video. So it's been 3 months since I visited Jpark here, and I'm going to show you the difference between then and now. A couple of the swimming pools in September that were closed have now reopened, and they've also opened another restaurant for buffet breakfasts in the morning. Not quite as large as what they used to have, but it's something. So if you saw my last video here a few months ago, I was standing right at this spot and there was just no one behind me. Today you can see a few people. It's Friday. The weekends here are a lot more busier, and it's encouraging to see that there are actually more people here now The numbers are still pretty bad, but I think we've passed rock bottom and things are slowly getting better. But you know, it's a long way to go. So coming back to Jpark, after 3 months, I can tell you that things are slowly getting better. Obviously, it's still bad numbers, but things are slowly getting better. It's going to take international tourism to bring things back to some normality. And as I said, there's a major difference between the weekends and weekdays, with the weekends actually being quite good with numbers, but the weekdays, it's just dead quiet. Still better than it was when I first came a few months ago when there was practically nobody. So right now I'm staying in Mandawi in the Ma'ao hotel here, and I was speaking to one of the managers, and they've been telling me about a trend in travel. They've actually got another property in the north of Cebu. It's on the beach. It's in San Remigio. I hope that's how you pronounce it. And so what they're saying is they've opened both properties. The one here in Mandawi is not doing good at all. It's only like tonight, 4 people or 4 guests in the rooms. This is a huge hotel, but their property up in the province on the weekends has been fully booked. And what the trend is that the locals or the people in the city are so sick of being stuck in this quarantine in their houses or homes that on the weekends they just can't wait to get out. So they're going to Mactan Island, to the resorts there. They're going up north into the provinces and staying at all the resorts there. So the resorts in the provinces are doing really well on the weekends, and also in Mactan, while their properties in the city areas aren't doing very well at all. The Bureau of Immigration just released a statement on this COVID-19 passport, and I mentioned about this in one of my previous videos. They said it would streamline entry at the airports into the Philippines, so they welcome this COVID-19 passport. This points to more indication that international tourists will need to be vaccinated before entry to the Philippines. They also added they foresee tourist numbers into the Philippines to come in droves by the second half of 2021. Bohol now is open to individual travels. Previously, only groups were allowed. Unfortunately, I think there's still too many restrictions to really encourage travel there, such as getting a COVID-19 test, which is around 5,000 peso a pop, and then the 3 days of self-isolation. The Tourism Board has earmarked a subsidy program for this COVID-19 test though. There's no dates for when this will be implemented though. They also said the same for Boracay with subsidising the COVID-19 tests. Cebu Pacific came out to say it's time to get domestic travel started again, as they cannot afford to wait for the vaccine to come in. As expected, tourism receipts plunged more than 81% this year in the Philippines. As for the Pfizer vaccine, it might not come into the Philippines until the second or third quarter of 2021. Cebu Pacific also came out to say that the COVID-19 passport has been essential, especially for international travel, although this is not set in stone. And with the travel bubbles with other countries, Cebu and Bohol both looking towards Vietnam as it's got low COVID-19 cases. I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy and safe Christmas. I have done other videos on travel news and updates within the Philippines, so please check out some of the videos on screen now. Till then, keep safe out there, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.